So
it's not a part of you that's a little worried because you seem to be off kilter a little bit.
No, I feel that Joe will be reelected.
But when these polls, like the Wall Street Journal one, land in the White House and he's losing in all the battleground states.
No, he's not losing in all the battleground states. He's coming up, and he's even or doing better. So you know what? Once people start to focus in and they see their two choices, it's obvious that Joe will win this election.
Welcome back to America Decides. That was First Lady and Chief Biden campaign strategist Jill Biden on CBS Mornings today. The poll she's referencing, or that Tony DeCopel was referencing, is one from the Wall Street Journal that has President Biden trailing former President Donald Trump in 6 out of the 7 swing states, as you can see there. Wisconsin is the only one where the president is at least tied, as the polling suggests. Let's bring in our panel, Robert Costa and Jessica Taylor. Robert, of course, CBS News chief election and campaign correspondent. Jessica is the Senate and Governor's editor for the Cook Political Report. Good to see both of you. These surveys, Bob, just the latest example of how TikTok tight it is. And the Biden campaign has a point. There are some out there that suggest they're ahead ever so slightly in places like Pennsylvania or Wisconsin, depending on which surveys you look at. But either way, former President Trump still has a big advantage here.
He does and he doesn't. It's so early, I would argue, as a reporter at this stage in the cycle to start saying that someone's way ahead or behind in any of these battleground states. So much of this election, to me, is about motivation of core constituencies within each respective party. If President Biden is able to get labor to come out in Michigan and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania and get women and others who support abortion rights to come out in record numbers in some of these key states, then the polling right now won't likely be reflective of what happens on Election Day.
And to that point about motivating the base, we once again, in his appearances in Michigan and Wisconsin yesterday, heard him use the word bloodbath to describe, in this case, crime committed by immigrants, but picking up on something that had been criticized by members of both parties when he used it about 2-3 weeks ago. Why keep doing that?
In 1968, Richard Nixon was famous for running a law and order campaign, casting the country as one full of disorder, that they needed Nixon to come in, stabilize the country. Trump's arguing that the country now, and using his own rhetoric, is akin to a third world country, a country with total disorder at its own borders. And he's arguing that he alone, using his own rhetoric, as we've heard from the past, he alone can fix it. And he is saying that Biden is feeble, not able to lead the country in any commanding way. And for the Biden administration, it's going to be, they have to prepare the campaign, too, for a constant barrage of this kind of political language from Trump, that if the trade policies aren't changed, there will be a, quote, bloodbath for the economy. And this is visceral rhetoric because Trump is appealing to people's visceral grievance on politics, culture, and social issues.
And it resonates down the ballot, Jessica, doesn't it?
It does, because, I mean, the Senate is also very much in play and is one that is incredibly, a map that's incredibly favorable for Republicans. You know, I think echoing Robert's point, I do think that it's a little, you know, there's time and voters aren't engaged. My boss, Amy Walter, likes to call this the Green Day election. Wake me up when September ends. Let's see what the polls say at the end of September. But, you know, very tight within the margin of error in a lot of these. But, you know, obviously very, you know, if general elections are about the incumbent, as they usually are, it's not a good place for President Biden to be.
For the kids who watch us here on the stream, Green Day is a very popular band from the 1990s. For our parents, too, who maybe don't know them. I hadn't heard that line before, but that works. Part of the reason we had you in today, Jessica, is because you track Senate contests, which, of course, are just as, if not arguably, sometimes more important than the presidential race, because it's going to help determine who really runs Washington. You guys have made a change in one of the key races for the Senate this year.
Yes, we moved Nevada Senate from our lean Democrat column to toss-up, so it joins 3 other states there. That's Montana Senate, John Tester, Ohio Senate, Sherrod Brown, who both represent states that Trump, won twice, in Montana by double digits, and then Arizona Senate, the open seat there left by retiring independent Senator Kyrsten Sinema. And, you know, we have 3 other races now in the lean Democrat column: Pennsylvania Senate, Michigan Senate, and Wisconsin Senate. You know, all of these overlap so much with the presidential battlegrounds. It's a little hard to differentiate, but in my conversations with both Republicans and Democrats, there's more of a trepidation about Nevada. Now, I think it's a little bit of a surprise in a way, because of those battleground states, Nevada is the only one that Democrats actually won both in 2016 and in 2020, but just by a little over 2 points. And the 2022 Senate race there was the closest in the country, decided by less than 8,000 votes. And this is also where Republicans ousted the only Democratic governor, Joe Lombardo, they're beating. And so you have Jackie Rosen that was elected, ousted Dean Heller in 2018.
Yep.
One of the unique things about Nevada is that its electorate turns over about a quarter.
I love that you included this. The state, every election cycle, a quarter of voters in Nevada are new. Which means incumbents have to go back every 6 years, 4 years, and literally introduce themselves to a whole new batch of voters.
Right. So, you know, we saw Catherine Cortez Masto start off with this sort of, you know, ground to make up. And she'd already been elected statewide even before she was elected for the Senate. She'd been a state attorney general. Jackie Rosen's had a really fast rise in politics. She was a synagogue president before she was elected to the House for one term and then to the Senate. So she's not as well known to voters. Republicans do have a primary there, but National Republicans have backed former Army Captain Sam Brown. Purple Heart recipient, has a really heroic story, was badly wounded when an IED blew up. He had suffered burns over 30% of his body. He ran in the primary against the then Republican sort of nationally endorsed candidate, Adam Laxalt. He has sort of a new team around him this time. He has, you know, the Washington establishment, the NRSC and things on his side. Yeah. But I think, you know, he does have to get through that primary. He doesn't have any serious challengers at this moment. We'll see if some of them put up money. And if that turns into a race, he has Lombardo backing him. But this really reflected, I think, more of the state of Nevada, where it has been uniquely affected by still the COVID, post-COVID economy, and then also immigration. To me, it's a lot of its makeup and the issues are pretty similar to what's happening in Arizona. Yeah. And, you know, when we look at the Biden numbers, too, this is a state where he's consistently trailed Donald Trump, especially in comparison to some of those other swing states.
And the one thing, real quick, Bob, to you, that is happening this time that hasn't happened so much in the past is there's a lot more coordination to some extent between those running for Senate and the Trump campaign. They're a little more simpatico, at least this time going into November.
A decade ago, when Trump started to look at a presidential run in 2016, around this time in 2014, he was a total outsider. A decade on, he is the party. And so many of these candidates are, if not imitating Trump's political style and his ideology, they're at least having echoes of it inform their campaign.
Yeah. Although Sam Brown, as you point out, is slightly different Republican in that he's moderated his views, or at least has a more moderate approach to things like abortion. So
yeah, he had a really groundbreaking interview with his wife talking about how she had an abortion. But again, Democrats still feel like they can use this issue against him because he has supported limitations and things in the past.
Yeah. I imagine there are Democrats saying to you today, Jessica, what took you so long is always a toss-up in Nevada. Yeah. Just a reason why we all have to go to Nevada for work. Yeah. Family and friends still don't believe that's what we have to go, but it is. Robert Costa and Jessica Taylor, great to see both of you. Thank you for being